Michael Jordan versus Isaiah Thomas. Dream Team Politics. Handshake War. Career-long ice. Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas never forgave each other. One handshake poisoned a generation. Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas hated each other for decades. It started in the 80s, when the Pistons' Jordan rules turned every drive into a war. But it exploded in 1991. After Jordan's Bulls finally swept the Pistons, Isaiah walked off without shaking hands. Jordan never let it go. Years later, when the 1992 Dream Team was formed, Isaiah was left off the roster, despite being a Hall of Famer. Everyone knew why. Jordan denied vetoing him, but insiders confirmed it. Their rivalry never thawed. No apologies, no reconciliation, just cold looks and colder interviews for 30 years straight. Larry Bird versus Bill Laimbeer. Cheap shots, blood, no respect. Larry Bird hated Bill Laimbeer's guts and made it public every time they touched the floor. Larry Bird and Bill Laimbeer never pretended to like each other. Bird, the cold-blooded killer from Boston, had no patience for Laimbeer's dirty tricks. Laimbeer, the Pistons enforcer, didn't care. He hacked, shoved, elbowed, and bragged about it. In 1987, Bird snapped. After a hard foul, he threw the ball at Laimbeer's face and started swinging. Both were ejected. The Celtics versus Pistons rivalry became must-watch mayhem. Bird called him a phony tough guy. Laimbeer mocked him in interviews. They played real basketball with real hate, before social media and jersey swaps dulled the edges. No respect, no friendship, just bruises. Shaquille O'Neal versus Kobe Bryant. Ego, leadership, and broken dynasties. Shaq and Kobe won titles together, then tore each other apart for a decade. Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant were the most dominant duo since Jordan and Pippen, and the most dysfunctional. They won 3 straight titles from 2000 to 2002. But behind the banners was chaos. Kobe called Shaq out for being lazy. Shaq mocked Kobe for being selfish. During the 2004 finals, the feud boiled over. The Lakers collapsed. Shaq was traded to Miami. Then came the media jabs, diss tracks, interviews, petty shots. Shaq won a title without Kobe. Kobe later won 2 without Shaq. Years passed. The respect returned, but for a full decade, they turned a dynasty into a civil war. Scottie Pippen versus Charles Barkley. Friends to enemies over one season, Scottie Pippen teamed up with Barkley, then torched him on the way out. In 1999, Scottie Pippen joined Charles Barkley and Hakeem Olajuwon in Houston. It looked like a veteran super team. It lasted one season and ended in disaster. The team lost early in the playoffs. The locker room turned toxic. Pippen blasted Barkley in interviews, calling him selfish and lazy. Barkley fired back. Years later, the insults got worse. Pippen said, "I wouldn't give Charles Barkley an apology at gunpoint." Barkley said Pippen didn't live up to Jordan. What started as respect between Hall of Famers collapsed into permanent bitterness. No love, no calls. Just a feud, locked in concrete. Karl Malone versus Dennis Rodman. Elbows, trash talk, and wrestling matches. Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman hated each other so much. They took it to the ring. Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman clashed on the court and then in the wrestling ring. The rivalry peaked in the 1997 and 1998 NBA Finals. Rodman, Chicago's chaos agent, tangled with Malone every possession. Elbows, jersey grabs, relentless trash talk. In Game 6 of the '98 Finals, Malone finally snapped and fought Rodman under the rim. Weeks later, both men signed to WCW and wrestled each other on live TV. It wasn't a joke. It was personal. The NBA had no rulebook for this kind of beef. It was hard fouls, real hate, and a grudge that needed 2 arenas to settle. Reggie Miller versus Michael Jordan. The shove, the stare, the war. Reggie Miller shoved Michael Jordan and lived to talk about it. Barely. Reggie Miller versus Michael Jordan was never just basketball. It was personal. In 1993, during a heated Bulls-Pacers game, Miller shoved Jordan. Jordan came back swinging. They had to be separated by teammates and security. But the real war came in 1998. Eastern Conference Finals. Game 4. Miller pushed off Jordan and hit the game winner. Jordan just stared. Game 7. Jordan got the last laugh. Reggie respected MJ, but never feared him. Jordan never forgot the shove. Their feud wasn't friendly. It was fire masked by handshakes, and a reminder that Miller was one of the few who dared to fight back. Kevin Garnett versus Tim Duncan. Silent assassin versus loud warrior. Kevin Garnett barked. Tim Duncan killed with silence. And neither flinched for 15 years. Kevin Garnett versus Tim Duncan was a battle of opposites. Garnett screamed, flexed, and talked trash from tip-off to final buzzer. Duncan said nothing, just killed you with footwork, bank shots, and cold execution. Garnett once trash-talked Duncan on Mother's Day, allegedly bringing up his late mother. Duncan didn't react. He just won. Their teams clashed for years. Wolves versus Spurs, Celtics versus Spurs. But the beef stayed under the surface. Garnett admitted he never liked Duncan's calm. Duncan never responded. It wasn't highlight, real drama. It was slow-burning warfare between two power forwards who ruled an era and never gave each other an inch. Charles Oakley versus Charles Barkley. One punch short of disaster. Charles Oakley warned Charles Barkley, then threw a punch mid-game. Charles Oakley was the NBA's enforcer. Charles Barkley was the NBA's loudest mouth. Put them together, and a fight was guaranteed. In a 1996 preseason game, Oakley swung on Barkley, bare-fisted, mid-play. No hesitation. Barkley ducked, then shoved back. Years earlier, Oakley had warned Barkley, "Next time, I'm swinging." And he did. They never liked each other. Barkley called Oakley a goon. Oakley called Barkley soft. Teammates, media, and even Jordan tried to cool it. Didn't matter. Their feud stayed hot long after retirement. Two Charles, two egos, one fight that nearly blew the league open on live TV. Jimmy Butler versus Karl Anthony Towns. Alpha war in practice. Jimmy Butler destroyed Karl Anthony Towns in practice and let the media watch. In 2018, Jimmy Butler requested a trade from Minnesota. When the Timberwolves stalled, he showed up to practice and humiliated the starters. He led the third stringers to a win, screamed at the GM, then gave an ESPN interview minutes later. Towns and Wiggins were targets. Butler questioned their heart, their work ethic, their toughness. Towns stayed quiet. The team broke apart. Butler was traded to Philly. Towns never responded publicly, but the feud lingered. Years later, they threw shade on social media. Every on-court meeting since has had tension. This wasn't a rivalry. It was a psychological takedown that never healed. Kevin Durant versus Draymond Green. One argument killed a dynasty one game. One argument. And the Warriors' dynasty cracked from the inside. In November 2018, the Warriors played the Clippers. Draymond Green fumbled a final possession, then argued with Kevin Durant. Not just trash talk. Real venom. Draymond reportedly told KD, "We don't need you. Leave." The locker room exploded. The next day, the team suspended Draymond. Durant never forgot it. The vibe shifted. The team won, but the unity was gone. That summer, Durant left for Brooklyn. Draymond later admitted he crossed the line. Durant said it cemented his exit. 2 championships together weren't enough to fix it. That one moment showed the league how even dynasties rot, from ego, not just age. Russell Westbrook versus Kevin Durant. Brotherhood turned to betrayal. Russell Westbrook trusted Kevin Durant until he joined the enemy. Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant spent 8 seasons as teammates, MVP-level talent, title contenders, real chemistry. But in 2016, Durant shocked the NBA by leaving OKC for the Warriors, the team that just beat them. Westbrook found out like the rest of the world, from the news. He never forgave him. On the court, it turned icy fast. No eye contact, no handshakes. Trash talk. In their first game as opponents, KD scored 39. Westbrook came back with 34 and a stare that said everything. Their feud defined an era. They were brothers, then strangers, then rivals with unfinished history. Ben Simmons versus Joel Embiid. Awkward exits and silent locker rooms. Ben Simmons disappeared. Joel Embiid didn't wait for him to come back. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid were supposed to be Philly's future, but after years of playoff failures, their relationship cracked. In 2021, Simmons passed up a wide-open dunk in Game 7. The team lost. The city turned. Embiid called it the turning point. Simmons vanished. He missed training camp, said he wasn't mentally ready. Embiid said he didn't care anymore. When Simmons returned, the vibes were gone. No chemistry, no trust. Philly traded him to Brooklyn. Embiid threw subtle shade for years. Simmons never responded directly. They never brawled. But their feud was cold, clinical, and destroyed an entire era. Rajon Rondo versus Ray Allen. One jump to Miami, no forgiveness. Ray Allen joined LeBron. Rondo erased him from Celtics history. Ray Allen helped Boston win the 2008 title. He was a core part of the Big Three. But in 2012, he left for Miami, Boston's biggest rival, led by LeBron. Teammates were furious. Kevin Garnett stopped talking to him, but Rajon Rondo took it the hardest. He felt betrayed. Said Allen disrespected the locker room, the culture, the bond. Rondo refused to speak Allen's name in interviews. At a 10-year championship reunion, everyone was invited, except Allen. The feud lasted a decade. Only in recent years did Allen and Garnett make peace. Rondo, still silent. Some cuts never close. Shaq versus Dwight Howard. Troll war over the Superman name. Shaq wore the cape first. Dwight wore it better. Then the beef began. Shaquille O'Neal nicknamed himself Superman in the 2000s. Dwight Howard took the name literally. Dunk contest cape, smiling dominance, Orlando centerpiece. Shaq didn't like it. He mocked Dwight in interviews, said he was soft, overrated, a fake. Dwight tried to ignore it, but the shots kept coming. Every time Dwight had a big game, Shaq downplayed it. When Dwight won Defensive Player of the Year 3 times, Shaq said he was still better. It wasn't a real rivalry. It was one-sided bullying. Dwight eventually fired back, saying he earned everything. 2 Superman capes. 1 ego war. No happy ending. James Harden versus Chris Paul. Stats versus leadership. Implosion in Houston. James Harden and Chris Paul nearly beat the Warriors, then beat each other instead. In 2018, the Rockets pushed the Warriors to Game 7. James Harden and Chris Paul looked unstoppable. Then Paul pulled his hamstring. The team collapsed. The next season, cracks formed. Harden wanted freedom. Paul wanted structure. Paul challenged Harden in film sessions. Harden stopped responding. The locker room split. Reports said they didn't speak for weeks. After another playoff loss, Houston traded Paul for Russell Westbrook. Harden said the pairing just didn't work. Paul kept it quiet, but the feud changed both careers. From title dreams to cold exits. The Rockets never recovered. Neither did their relationship. D'Angelo Russell versus Nick Young. Locker room snitch. Ruined careers. D'Angelo Russell pressed record. Nick Young lost everything. In 2016, the Lakers were rebuilding. D'Angelo Russell was the future. Nick Young was the veteran. Then came the video. Russell secretly recorded Young admitting to cheating on fiancée Iggy Azalea. The clip leaked. Social media exploded. Young's relationship ended. The locker room turned against Russell. Teammates iced him out. Fans booed him. Trust was gone. Russell later apologized, saying it was a joke gone wrong. But careers changed. The Lakers traded Russell the next season. Young's image never recovered. It wasn't just drama. It was betrayal caught on tape. One clip killed the chemistry and burned a bridge forever.